JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. November 20th, 2024, 3:25 here on this fine Wednesday. Talk really quick about the markets, some of the names I'm looking at, go from there, but take a look at S&P. Off the lows, but back under that 485 handle at about 10:15. Bounced back up to 589, has been chopping ever since. We'll see if we get a melt back up into the 589 or so range into the close. Will be a nice premium killing day, I guess you would say, but big earnings after the close. The hyped NVIDIA earnings. Right now, it looks like a little over a 9% implied move. The stock's at 144. Uh, Options $13.51 on the at the money straddle. So a little over 9%. It's not a name I'm going to trade anyway, but certainly could be uh, tell the set the path for the markets for the rest of the week. So again, 584 and 590 continue to be the support resistance on the SPY. We'll see at some point we break through that. Hopefully the earnings after the close of NVIDIA is kind of the kickstart. There's also, you have Palo Alto reports after the close today, and Snowflake, amongst other names. So those names can move markets as well, especially Snowflake. That's that. And then you still have the tensions, the geopolitical tensions. You have, what reports Iran can now do at least 4 nuclear bombs. The back and forth with Russia and Ukraine, and now the supposedly UK missiles were sent. It's just all this stuff. I mean, if there is nuclear war, I was saying it yesterday. If nuclear war, I mean, it's not going to be the markets are. It's not going to matter if you have calls or puts. Well, I mean, unless you have put black swan puts, but rants for other days. But hopefully there's no escalation, and we've had this with China. I remember there was tensions were high in with Japan, and what was going on with Taiwan. There's always things going on. The market always seems to climb the wall of worry. But having saying that, the VIX is back over 17. It actually tested 1840 at 2 o'clock, tested 1860 about 11:30. It's been chopping around. Want to see that start to melt back, and again, after the close today, earnings might start to do that. And then was it Dow's going to be down 5 sessions in a row? Small caps down about 0.25%. S&P's down 0.25%. Hopefully, we can get a little bounce into the end of the day. All right, so now, yeah, and if you look at the premiums, it's if you're going to try and trade NVIDIA, even if I went, or normally I look to get more spec trades. So maybe I wouldn't get into money trades, but I mean, 170, 175 calls on one side, but that's, I mean, look, if it moves 15%, how many trillion? That's, it's like $500 billion, $500 billion in market cap, right? If it moves 15%. So at 9%, what do you, 300 and something $1 million in market cap. So you're saying the market has mispriced its valuation by that much? It's possible. So I'll probably just sit on the sidelines. My sympathy name is DELL, and unfortunately Dell's taken on it. It looked like it was going to break out this morning, was all the way up near 139, and then it just sold off after the open. Still, if solid report by NVIDIA and there's any kind of whisper or some kind of positive comments around Dell, I think it trades up near 150 into the end of the week. So, all right, so that's NVIDIA. That's earnings after the close. Now on to Lemonade, and gosh, I mean, if you had told me it was at 40, would test $48 last week, gosh, I would have said what? I would think it would be more of a short squeeze situation, right? But I think some of the move is, and some of it's just the fact they had a great investor day yesterday. They just coming off their earnings, which kind of surprised, and it almost looks like they're back on track. And if that's the case, it's going to head substantially higher. I was talking about this morning their investor day. They actually have a chart up, a slide where they think the valuation of the company right now is $90 a share. And that was when the stock was trading $6 lower than where it is now. Actually, lower, much lower than that. So, not saying that the company knows where its stock should trade, right? Their job is to execute on their business, not to value their company, but they think it's substantially undervalued. And that's not to bake in any of the future growth, the profitability in 2027, going from $1 billion to a $10 billion company. I use the comparisons with Trupanion, and the insurance sector is a very easy sector for bears to short and to create this fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The FUD, that insurance, you need to have leverage. It's a highly regulatory sector. I use Trupanion as my best example, and Trupanion is one of my favorite stocks over the years in pet insurance. And if it's very easy to say, oh, they can go to zero. They had attorney generals file suits against Trupanion for issues with how they offered pet insurance, and the Bears, put that out there, and that was it. That was going to be the nail in the coffin. And Trupanion's been doing well ever since. So, not saying similar here with Lemonade, but I use the analogy with the comparison with Goosehead, right? And Goosehead was one of my top 5 stocks back in the day, and that's been on a tear too because a lot of folks, number one, were betting against insurance because of what's going on with natural disasters and paying out claims and things like that. But Lemonade has shown that not only did it not impact them much, they actually did better. But in regards to Goosehead, um, it's a sector I think has been kind of overlooked, and Goosehead's another name that has disrupted the insurance sector in regards to people finding insurance. So I can go on a rant for a while in regards to Lemonade, but they have international exposure. They also are getting into the car insurance side, which car insurance is, if you have a car, car insurance has been going up 20, 30, 40% in some areas. And so anyway, so I love Lemonade. So I would think, well, luckily, I got those November 29 calls yesterday just so I can hold the Decembers for the FOMO. I mean, the more I start looking at it, the more I think maybe this goes to $80 for December expiration. Call me crazy, but sometimes you got to be, I was saying this morning, you got to be crazy to make the big gains on the option. So my calls, the Decembers, which got 60 cents or so, they were $13. Are they still at $13? I don't have it in front of me. So I'm it's crazy. And if you start looking, if it gets to 50, they're going to be $18. If it gets to 60. So I'll just hold the rest of Decembers. I got those Novembers, so I can hold those Decembers with less worry of losing some profits. And those are up. So I locked some of those in this morning. And as much as I want to lock them all in, I think it's headed higher. So got some out for a little over 300%, some more out for a little over 400%, and I'll just continue to hold those. And then if there is some weakness, then I'll lock the rest of those in. I'll continue to hold the Decembers, and if it breaks back under 40, I'll just close the Decembers out. But I still like this for substantial more upside. So that's Lemonade. I'll probably do more rants. Maybe I was going to put a quick piece together. I'll see. I keep trying to do that, but just time is always an issue. And then you start looking at levels for Lemonade. I mean, 2021, at the end of 2021, I think it was $48 was its high. Maybe it hit $50. And at the start of 2021, it was $180 stock. So it doesn't mean that's where it's going to go. But and that was, of course, with COVID and things like that. So people are bidding up some of these names, but really like Lemonade. And here's the example of Goosehead. If you look at Goosehead, stock was in the 20s in 2023, back in the 60s, 70s in 2024 to start the year. It's over 120, probably heads to all-time highs here in the coming months. Let's see if I can put a chart up here. Not in Goosehead, but similar story, great story, disrupting insurance. All right, so that's Goosehead, Lemonade. I finally, after staring at it yesterday and I was possibly going to get some into earnings, finally got some calls on Unity. And Unity's tough here, and the SPY spiking almost into the green here. It's a name. They had some issues in regards to the developers and folks who use the platform. They were going to raise prices or charge more, and there was a big communication issue that caused some folks some worry on the investor side and the user side, but people maybe jumping platforms, things like that. So it almost looks like maybe this is finally the bottom. And then you look at AppLovin, APP. I remember looking at it was $60, and it's not the same as Unity, but similar because they monetize games and in regards to advertising and other things like that. But when you see app go on a tear like this, means the ecosystem is strong, and then you have a company like Unity, it's down 48% year to date. So I think AppLovin's up 300 and some percent this year. I have to think, like, even if it just bounces, and a lot of times you see into the end of the year, you see tax loss selling, right? You see names that probably would have might be either a strong position to offset a losing position, or you see the flip side where people bid up names that have been oversold. So this could be one of those names that runs into the end of the year and then gallops at the start of 2025. And I was actually looking at February 35s. I'm going to wait. Was it 22? That's when I was looking to get them, but I might look some February 35s if I can lock some of the January calls out that I added for 100%. They got close. Once I'm able to do that, it could be a name that really starts to gallop. So like Unity, that's why I got those strikes. SE is back over 115 here just now. It's surprised. It's just frustrating to see it all the way up near 117, 118 post earnings. Give that all back and then some. Still think that heads to 130. I'm going to be patient though. I'm not going to add any more strikes, but really like that one. Um, I like, well, Dell's bounced a little bit here. I'm trying to think of some of the other rants. Oh, gold, right? I mentioned it this morning too. It's like one of these days it's going to be, you wake up and gold's going to be down 6-7%. It just, maybe it's not this month, maybe it's next month, or call me crazy again, but sometimes you have to be crazy to make the big gains on, especially on some of these names that most people aren't expecting that to happen. uh there's the case for it, so I nice. uh I can make the bear case on it, right? The store of value, the strong US dollar, um the fact that it's already up 30% year to date, and does it doesn't pay a dividend. And again, and gold is just what everyone else is willing to pay for it. So I mean, I'm not saying it's an asset, but a house is similar, but something you live. There's functionality, there's utility value to it, right? You live in it, right? You can you can improve it. I mean, you can improve gold by putting it on a piece of jewelry, I guess. But uh, anyway, rants for other days. SPY is over 590, so I probably should keep talking. Maybe we'll get red to green move here. Looks like it's going to happen in about 2 seconds. I'm trying to think of some of the other names I was looking at today. Fiverr's showing some life again after a couple session weakness. I would love to dip my toes to add some later strikes there at some point. I'll probably pass on that one. Oh, and then just the crypto name. So what did he Sailor mentioned? Uh, what was that one? Oh, SMLR, right? So you just do a quick glance, and it's a $500 million or $600 million market cap, and they have, I guess, at the price of Bitcoin now, $100 million worth in Bitcoin holdings. So I'm not saying it reeks a top or anything. Everything's probably Bitcoin's going to go over 100,000 at some point, but it just seems like every day there's more and more stuff. And then you saw GameStop today running up, and it's like now you start seeing these moves, and it's like, oh, there probably going to be some rumor that they either acquired a Bitcoin mining company or they bought Bitcoin with their 3 billion cash hoard. It's going to happen to some of these names, and then you see, people trying to take advantage. If you're in early, that's great. Hopefully, sell when things spike, and then at some point they'll come back down. I think that's it, folks. Let's have a great afternoon. I'll be back on audio. Rock and roll.